kids! Welcome to Take Two! Last week, I pretended to be an investigative reporter, but I don't know anything about investigative reporting, so it got kind of confusing and boring, and I kept dropping my pencil and my tiny little notebook and messing up my lines really bad. But none of you saw that, of course, because I edited it all out, and I'm really awesome at editing my video, so they look perfectly normal. None of that had anything to do with today's lesson. Let's start by reading today's key passage in Genesis 28:15. And behold, I am with thee, and will keep thee in all places whither thou goest. What am I reading? Something about a ghost? Oh, that's the King James Version. Sorry, my bad. Let's try that again. Look, I am with you and will watch over you wherever you go. I will bring you back to this land, for I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised. Genesis 28:15. Sometimes things happen to us and we don't really know why until much later. And sometimes we may never know why, but we know someone who does. Say it with me. God! Today, I'm going to tell you about a guy named Joseph. Joseph was sent to Egypt by God. Did he get himself there by plane or bus or, more likely, a smelly camel? No. He didn't even want to go in the first place. He got there because his brothers sold him to slavery to some Egyptians. And he probably walked next to some big smelly camels. This was after they threw him into a pit to die. If you think your older siblings are mean to you, just remember what Joseph's brothers did to him. Anywho, here's our big picture question. Why did God send Joseph to Egypt? Even though it was a really terrible thing his brothers did to him, it worked out pretty well for Joseph. He was a hard worker and earned the trust and respect of those that were in charge of him, and he worked his way up to a pretty important position. When Joseph was a little boy, he had a dream that his brothers would bow down before him. One day, his brothers came to buy some grain because there was a famine where they lived. A famine is when food doesn't grow and people go hungry. That's a really short definition. When Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them right away, but they didn't recognize him. Joseph wondered if they felt bad about what they did to him and put them through a series of tests. Joseph saw that they knew what they did was a sin. When they had a chance to betray their littlest brother Benjamin into slavery to Joseph, they were willing to take his place instead. God used this little family reunion to preserve his covenant with Abraham that was passed on to Isaac and then Jacob, who was Joseph's father. So, what's the answer to our big picture question? Why did God send Joseph to Egypt? God sent Joseph to Egypt to establish a remnant. A remnant is a group of people who are saved from a disaster, like a famine. God saved this group of people to fulfill his covenant plan. Judah, one of Joseph's brothers, who offered to take the place of Benjamin as Joseph's slave, is included in Jesus' family tree. God saved this remnant so that we could be saved too. Jesus also came to save a remnant of people who know and love him. Have you ever asked, why? Why didn't I get picked for the team I tried out for? Why didn't I get a better grade on the test I studied so hard for? The why for all the things Joseph went through was so God could use Joseph to save his chosen people. How do you deal with those why questions you face? Do you trust that God knows and has a plan? It may take a few years, or you may never know why something happens. But you can be sure that God knows and he can be trusted. That's an awesome ending to the story of Joseph, and the ending for today's show. That's it for this week, kids. Bye!